It's question time. And today, Dennis from Victoria asks, does tea grow in Victoria? Hi, I'm Tanya from Cuppa Tea channel, the place for all those tea addicts and tea lovers to build your tea knowledge. So in this episode, let's talk about where tea grows in Australia, how long it's been growing in Australia, and what type of tea grows here. And make sure you stay right to the very end, where I'm going to be giving you a bonus code to be able to purchase some of the very best award-winning Australian tea. Let's get into it, shall we? Growing tea in Australia started around 140 years ago with the Cutten Brothers travelling to Bingle Bay in far north Queensland in 1882 and setting up a plantation, well, a small tea farm there with many other different types of crops. And they continued in that area until 1918, when a cyclone came through and wiped out their entire crop. And from there it was picked up again in the 1950s from a Dr Allan Maruff, who immigrated from India to Australia, and he had heard about this tea plantation. He went down there to Bingle Bay and grabbed a lot of the small seedlings and took them back to a tea nursery. And from there is now what is known as Nerada Tea Plantation, or Nerada Tea, which is the largest supplier of Australian tea in the world. Their range does extend from black tea and green tea, but they're mainly known for their black tea, and they have about 1.5 million kilos of black tea per year. Now, North Queensland is a home to another couple of tea companies as well. In 1978, the Daintree Black Tea Company was set up by the Nicholas family. In 1985, Nucifora was set up by Sibby up there, and that's like that is about 120 acres. So the biggest area for tea in Australia is in the far north Queensland region, which is mainly a black tea growing. Coming further south down into southeast Queensland is Arakai Tea. They only began to start producing their tea a few years ago, but they have been very successful in producing award-winning teas. They have travelled to Taiwan and China to learn a lot about the processing methods. Further down into New South Wales, we also have Madura Tea, which was again set up around the 1978, around the same time as Daintree Black Tea, and they offer tours of the factory. Their tea is not a completely Australian-based tea. There is a blend of Sri Lankan tea added as well, but that was set up by Mike and Norman Grant Cook. If we go down a little bit further, there is a new corporation that has started in the central coast of Mangrove Mountain in New South Wales. And this cooperative is Tea at the moment, and it works with a Japanese company called Cutten, and they're working with the New South Wales farmers and encouraging them to grow more green tea plants. And this is off the back of a very successful venture by Itoen down in Victoria. So let's go down into Victoria, where we can see the Two Rivers Green Tea and Alpine Tea Company. They are purely a green tea company, and they produce Japanese style tea. All the tea is manufactured by Itoen in Wangaratta, which is close by. And most of the tea is shipped back to Japan to be used over there. But there are other farmers there, but these two are the only two that retain a small amount of their tea to sell online. When we move further down to Tasmania, we find a little tiny tea farm. It's run by Gordon and Jane Brown, who have a small 2-acre plot there, and they work on creating different styles of tea, called Tassie Tea. Also recently we go over to Western Australia. We have the Southern Forest Green Tea, and they have about 8 acres there where they grow Japanese style green tea. You find that most of the newer plantations of Victoria, Western Australia and Arakai use Japanese cultivars, where the plantations up in far north Queensland are based on very old tea bushes that were originally planted by the Cutten Brothers back in 1882. As you can see, a tea is grown here in Australia, and it's quite good tea. And for those people that hung around to the very end, here is your bonus code as promised for you to be able to get 15% discount on some beautiful Arakai tea from the Daintree Tea Co. And a big shout out to thanks for Kim for supplying that code. It is only available until the end of March, so be quick. And thanks again, Kim, and we'll see you all next week. Bye for now.